I walked into Westbridge Premier like I always did. Quiet, respectful, nothing flashy. Just me and my worn leather folder, trying to handle some account business. I stepped into the line for premium clients, where I'd stood before. But that day, something felt different. The security guy stepped up like I'd wandered somewhere I didn't belong. "This line's reserved," he said, eyes already judging. I told him I had an appointment, even reached for my ID, but he didn't even look at it. Just pointed me to the general line way across the lobby like I was an afterthought. Then, of course, came the blonde woman in the white suit. Smiles, cold water, straight to the private offices. No ID, no wait. Me? Still standing there like wallpaper. I didn't make a scene. I didn't need to. I just watched. And I stayed. People passed me. Nobody greeted me. The receptionist looked right through me. One guy with a Bluetooth earpiece got waved straight in. Then an older couple. Then a young woman with a laptop bag. All welcomed. All expected. Me? Ignored. Invisible. 15 minutes in, the same guard came back. "You'll need to go to our Jefferson branch," he said. Didn't check my name, didn't ask a question. Just told me I didn't belong here. So I left, but not before I asked to speak with a senior banker about some trust documents. The receptionist sighed, tapped her keyboard, and told me to go to counter 3. At that desk sat Brandon, slicked back hair, too tight tie, attitude that filled the room before he opened his mouth. I gave him my name and account number, and he started typing. Then he chuckled. "Most folks with less than $500 don't ask for trust structuring," he said, not even trying to hide the smirk. I told him I had proper documents and had been instructed to meet with a trust officer. He crossed his arms. "This side of the bank's for high-value clients. We have community branches for basic needs." Then he grinned, real smug. "You might have misunderstood your tier." He raised his voice just enough for folks nearby to hear. "We don't bring in our trust officers for balance checks." I asked again, calmly, if he was officially denying the request. "Oh, I'm not denying it," he said, fake polite. "But it's not being prioritized." That's when a young associate named Melinda stepped in. "Should I call someone from Team 4? She asked. He mentioned institutional. Brandon raised his hand like she was a dog needing to heel. "Stay in your lane." I didn't say another word. I just placed a single page from my folder on the desk, clearly labeled, clearly legit. Then I walked out, quiet and steady. Next morning I came back. Same clothes, same walk, same calm. But before I could reach the counter, the same guard stepped in. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. There was a report yesterday. You caused a disturbance." I asked what policy I'd violated. He said I'd been flagged. That was it. People were watching, whispering. One kid even asked his mom why they were making the man in the blazer leave. I didn't argue. I just said, understood, and left. But I wasn't the only one watching. Melinda had been recording on her phone, discreetly, silently, every cold stare, every insult in a polite tone, every word that told me I wasn't welcome. She was more than a teller. She was a journalist. By that evening, she'd already sent the footage to her editor. And while the bank was still patting itself on the back for how professional they'd handled things, I'd already flipped the switch. At 7:22 the next morning, The bank's system got hit with withdrawal requests. 1, 2, then 3, timed just minutes apart. Over $900 million in total. By 8 a.m., executives were on emergency calls. Compliance, legal, asset management, all scrambling. Nobody knew where it came from until someone finally looked at the forms and at the name on top. Terrell Harmon. Turns out, I wasn't just some guy walking into a branch asking questions. I was the silent beneficiary behind multiple trusts that together owned a controlling interest in Westbridge Financial. Every board decision they'd made in the last 3 years, my signature backed it. The man they dismissed, humiliated, flagged for causing a scene, was the one keeping the place afloat. And I'd just triggered a $2 billion divestment. So yeah, when I walked back in that day with the same calm expression and dropped a sealed envelope on Brandon's desk, I didn't need to say a word. He looked at me like his whole world cracked, tried to smile, asked, "Are we delivering something?" I didn't respond. I turned to leave but glanced back one last time, just looked him in the eye. Not angry, not smug, just still. He looked away first. By the time the board figured out what was happening, it was already too late. That envelope wasn't a threat. It was a final signal, something I'd scheduled weeks in advance. They hadn't just failed to serve me. They'd failed a silent owner. The next wave hit harder than they expected. Withdrawals spiked, clients fled. Their reputation shattered overnight. But the biggest shock, I didn't ask for Brandon to be fired. I sent a list to the board. The first line said, "Do not terminate Brandon Lasker." Instead, he was sent to a 12-week program at the Center for Economic Equity and Justice. Not a slap on the wrist. This was serious work, immersive, intense, uncomfortable. He had to live on site, talk to people denied loans, sit in rooms where no one cared about his job title. He didn't get to hide behind a desk. He had to sit in silence like I once did, and listen. A year later, I saw him again. At a financial literacy event we sponsored. He was there early, setting up chairs, handing out water, wearing a plain navy shirt with a badge that read, "Program Coordinator." When I walked in, he looked up and offered his hand. I shook it. No cameras, no speeches, just a quiet nod between two men who'd been on opposite sides of a lesson. At the end of the day, the host asked him to close the session. Brandon stepped up to the mic, and for the first time, he spoke like a man who wasn't trying to defend himself. "I thought I understood the rules," he said. "Thought being fair meant treating everyone the same. Until someone showed me how easy it is to ignore people when you think they don't matter." He didn't say my name. He didn't have to. He said, "I didn't lose my job. I lost the part of me that believed I couldn't be wrong." And the room went quiet. Not awkward quiet, but the kind where everyone's listening. Because it's real. Now here's what I want to know. What would you have done in my place? Do you believe someone like Brandon can truly change? Have you ever watched someone be dismissed because of how they look, how they sound, how they walk into a room? Let me know in the comments. Because sometimes the biggest shake-ups don't come from shouting. They come from silence that speaks louder than words.